we are all unique and have our own personal story. So dive in with me and let's get to know some extraordinary people. This week's guest is the one and only Mindy Udall. Be sure to listen to the very end as she shares a very interesting twist on diving in. You'll probably be my bossiest because you like to boss me around. But you know what? I like that because it's like you're my older sister.
Yeah, but I'm bossing you for a good reason. It's not just for fun and games.
No,
there's a purpose in my bossing.
And you always boss me around. For example, the other day when you get to Bunko.
Amy!
Not only are you bossing me, but you're bossing my mom around. You need to turn on these lights. Nobody can see. But it was a good point.
But I like find your house, Jeff. I can't find your house either.
For the Bunko. But I love that because I like that you feel comfortable. And I wouldn't like that for everybody, but I'm okay with you bossing me around.
Do I need to work on that? Should that be my challenge?
That actually might be your challenge. We might get to your challenge before we even formally begin. No, I love it.
But someone might put that in my evaluation.
That you're a little too bossy.
Yeah. No, someone did say that. Another principal. He's like, okay, bossy. I said, sorry, it's in my nature.
It's just there.
It's there.
Well, it's okay by me because I honestly consider you my older sister.
Is it okay with your producer?
Absolutely. You're pretty much family. Okay, Mindy, as we start our podcast, because
I thought we started.
Well, we did, but we're going to formally start it with our sponsor. Per Mindy's request, she asked that we bring in this can of El Pato
is legit
because it reminds her of our days in St. John's, Arizona, growing up, which it totally does. Show the camera.
The stuff was like 29 cents a can at Wilbur's Market, and people had it in their food storage. Like cases of it.
Yes, our family for
taco night.
We just had that for tacos this Tuesday.
Yeah, and you can buy it at Walmart or any of your local grocers.
So we are sponsored by El Pato.
Thank you, El Pato. Quack quack.
All right, Mindy Lou. So as I said earlier, Mindy is pretty much family. She's like the fourth hall girl. Well, you'd technically be the first because you came before all of us. Some of my earliest childhood memories in St. John's, Arizona include Mindy. You probably don't remember that, but you would teach us how to cheer.
I do.
You'd come over and boss us around. I sense a theme already in this podcast, and we're a couple of minutes in. Bossy.
Miss Bossy Pants.
Okay, I'm going to ask you, why are you bossy? Where did it begin?
Probably out of the womb. I was an early baby. I was walking at 8 months. I was born with a tooth. I mean, I was ready to go.
You were born with a tooth?
Yes. I was half grown. My mom said, the doctor. I was a month overdue. They didn't induce her because it was the 70s. So, whatever. And it was the summer in Vegas. I was born in Las Vegas. And my mom was just like, oh my gosh. And then I was almost 11 pounds. And the doctor said, hell, she's half grown. I had baby acne. I had a tooth. My poor mom.
You were just ready to go.
I was ready to go. I really think, I think you hit the nail on the head. I think I like to be bossy because I like to get things done.
Well, you are a go-getter. You achieve a lot.
Yes.
But do you think also growing up with only brothers had something to do with that? And did you boss them around?
I say that not so. Well, they would say yes. But no, I don't think so. Growing up, I was more running away from them because they were very physically aggressive. They're boys, rough and tumble. I, had my dolls and they would always invade my personal space and they got to name our dog after a boy character and I wanted to name her Cleopatra. And the dog is a female and gets named Flash Gordon Udall after the dog on the Dukes of Hazzard. So obviously my bossiness didn't work with my brother.
Okay, so your parents had 5 children?
5 children that we know of.
What number are you?
I'm number 3. I am middle only girl.
Oh, middle only. You know what? Being the middle child and being the only girl, I wanted to say, has got to be a blessing. Because that's kind of offset some of the middle child syndrome a little bit.
True.
A little.
True. Because I had a lot of friends and I went to a lot of houses. Like, I felt like more of my family was outside my home. Not that I don't like my family, but I spent a lot of time in other people's homes. I'm fascinated by like just people watching, people listening, like seeing how people interact. And I'm like,
Okay, so you asked me earlier, do I come prepared with a list of questions?
Yes, I thought you
don't.
did.
So I told you that I usually come with one question that I ask my guest, and I usually gear it towards them, and then we dive in. Do you want to know what the question was that I had prepared for you?
Why
it
am
had
I?
nothing
It
to do
wasn't.
with bossy.
Why am I so bossy?
No,
Okay, we'll back it up.
I just got to that because
Okay,
we're talking about
what's
it.
the question?
My question to you was: have you ever met a stranger?
No. Pretty much no. I will talk. That is how I am like my dad the most. I mean, it takes, I will find a way to like talk to the person next to me on an airplane, a train, in a canoe in Vermont. I mean, my friends, they wouldn't take 3 in a canoe. Suzanne and Mary went together because they're like, I don't want to go with a stranger. I'm like, okay, I'll go. Canoeing down the river with this guy. We tipped over. He like clearly wanted to be the captain and said he knew how to canoe. We were wet at the winery in Vermont. I'm like, you do not know how to canoe. But I mean, we had a great laugh about it. And
Do you think he may have tipped that canoe on purpose?
maybe it wasn't a wet canoe t-shirt contest. Don't worry, listeners.
So did you two strike up a conversation? Well, obviously you were able to strike up a conversation, but I mean,
Yeah, I'm sure I asked.
Where was this?
I'm sure I asked where. Vermont.
Vermont, you said. Okay.
I'm sure I asked, like, why are you here? Like, why are you on this tour? Where are you from?
Yeah.
You know, you always kind of do the little icebreaker.
But I can just see you guys being friends by the end.
Oh, yeah.
Having dinner, just hanging out.
I got
and
a
you probably
lady's
knew everything
business
about him.
card on the flight back from one of my trips. And she's like, please come and visit. And I'm like, I could probably visit people a lot of places.
Well, you do already.
True. But I would say my failure is I have these like random moments where I meet new people and have a great experience and then tell people about it, but then there's no follow-up.
Yes.
Really.
Okay.
So maybe I should dive in deeper.
Let's do that. Let's dive in. See, Mindy, you're so good at this.
I
knew
love
you would be
diving
ideal.
in.
Okay. Why do you think it's hard for you to do that follow-up?
I am a busy person. Like I go, and then I just burn myself out. So one of your former guests, maybe it was Ashley, said she didn't like people to know when she was like kind of down and needed some like reset time. I kind of go off the grid. Like I love being at my house by myself, like no phone, just reading books, whatever. And then I'm good. I just kind of have to recharge my batteries.
But that's good. You recognize when you need that.
Yes.
And you're good about resetting.
Yeah, but I'm almost 48 years old. So I didn't realize it soon enough. I think I like burned myself out for years and teaching.
So you've just come to this realization in the past few years.
Probably in the past like 5 years. Learning how to just say, nope, can't do it. Because I'm a yes person. Of course I can help. Yes. And I think that's just, I don't know if that's a St. John's thing, a woman thing.
Maybe a little bit of both.
Yeah. Work, you have to be a yes person, right, producer? Right, producer?
Yes.
There's my bossiness
He's
coming
mic'd
out,
up.
folks.
We're getting him mic'd up because I have a feeling he's going to be participating a lot in this one.
Right. I mean, so at work, I'm in education, and you are like on every committee, and you know, people are like, "Help me out with this. Help me out with this," and of course, you want to help.
Yes. You said education. You were a school teacher for how many years?
14. And you came into my classroom.
I did.
Amy sponsored my...
I've come into your classroom a couple of times.
Yeah, Amy sponsored my How to Be a Good Citizen essay writing contest. And her sister Sarah came in and took pictures. And I found some of those pictures. And we took them in front of this giant world map. And the kids were so excited. And you gave... I think you gave them money.
That was so, I do remember that.
Yes,
that was so much fun. You're an awesome teacher.
That was when I taught social studies.
Yes, in Tempe.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So how long, you said 14 years.
14 years.
And then you decided to take a break from education.
Yes.
What did you do?
Because I burnt out because I couldn't say no. I was running every club practically. I went to work for my brother and I said, I'm just taking a leave of absence, like you take a leave of absence, and then you can come back and you're guaranteed a job, not your same job. So when I came back, my same job wasn't available. So then I had taken some classes towards administration, and a job came up to be a teacher on special assignment, which is someone that is like like an assistant principal essentially, but you're currently working on your degree. So I talked to my friend who was at this different school, and she's like, oh my gosh, Mindy, you'd be perfect. Like, you know how to talk to parents, you know how to talk to kids. Like, so I went into the interview, and I remember I was sitting next to the assistant principal who was on the interview committee, and I had like researched, and I came in with like a notebook, and I had done like sample questions with my answers and had things highlighted.
Totally Mindy.
And the interview committee was asking me things. I'm like, one moment, please. And I just went into it. And the assistant principal said later, after I had, got the job and accepted it, he's like, I had never been in an interview like that. I mean, I'm like pulling out things. Well, and yeah, it was hilarious.
Let me look through this notebook here.
Well, he saw my notebook. That was the funny thing. He was sitting like literally right by me. So I was like kind of scanning through my answers. But I was like, oh my gosh, I better listen to the question. Because you know how you're always like, oh, I wonder what they're going to ask.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, education is huge in your family.
Oh,
okay.
Yes.
So I had your Aunt Helen for my second grade teacher. My favorite, yes, Helen Udall was my second grade teacher. My
Did you
favorite
have
teacher,
Christine?
I did not. Sarah had her for her second grade teacher.
Yes.
Then I had your Uncle Tim the next year for my third grade teacher.
Okay.
Now, several of my siblings, all of my siblings have had
one
of your parents or both of your parents plus one or two or three or four or five of your aunts and uncles.
Right.
How many Udalls?
All of them.
All of them were teachers.
All of the 7 siblings and their spouses were teachers at any given point. Wow. From kindergarten up through post, like college educators. My uncle Ted and Adeline were both, I believe, English instructors at Lane Community College in Eugene, Oregon. And that's how they
remarkable. Met. Really?
Mm-hmm.
That is remarkable. I didn't realize, I guess if I would have taken the time to like count through them all.
So 14.
Every single one was an educator.
And both of my grandparents. And every single one of them has like a master's degree.
Talk about a family.
I know. Even my grandma, who was born and went through the Depression and was an orphan at 11, has a master's degree.
Unreal.
Like I think she got it. She was one of those people that just got it. Like, I have to work hard. I need an education. And then she had all of these kids and still, was working on educating. And even my friend Claire, who's like sorry, Claire. Claire's a few years older than me. She's like, I just remember the lesson where your grandma like had this cup of, water and put some food dye in it. We'd put chalk in it and we were like simulating like tooth decay, like just kind of, like now education. I mean, it's changed so much. It's no longer like nap time and eating paste,
Mm-hmm.
not to be trite, but the kindergarten curriculum is crazy, right, producer?
Well, I mean, my daughter's in first grade, and she has 30 spelling words.
I know, you said that at Bunko.
They're not like
easy words.
Them.
Mm-hmm.
They're anything, brother, I mean, beginning, enough. I mean, these are hard words.
Isn't it amazing we turned out okay?
It is amazing we turned out okay.
I think we're lucky where we grew up and the experiences we had. I think we had different relationships with our teachers. We saw them out in the community. Like my physics teacher, came to dinner at our house. Like Mrs. Burdick, would come over and see my mom. Like, so I knew they were our teachers and I respected them, but also they were like real people.
Yes.
Yeah.
Well, and we grew up in St. John's. It's a very small town, and it's a big family. Everybody knows everyone, right? Everybody knows everyone's business. Uh-huh. Everyone's business. Uh-huh. And that's amazing. Okay.
I will tell you something about knowing everyone's business. Okay.
Please do.
Shout out to Adrian Foscus, Rebel Boy. I had a crush on him. I don't even know what year it was, junior year, probably because I was driving. Now, my driver's ed teacher was either my Aunt Lee or my Uncle Daniel. I hated driving, you guys. Hated it. I was like, I don't want to learn how to drive. My parents were like, you need to learn how to drive. So my Aunt Lee would be in the back clipping coupons and she's like, okay, we're driving to Show Low, we're driving to Springerville. And I would like have major like anxiety because I'm like, they have stoplights there. Oh my gosh, like I don't know if I can do it. So we drive. I had like the most driver's ed hours, like way beyond what was necessary. And I had the driver's ed award because I studied and got 100% on every test. Could I drive? Not worth a lick. Are we not recording? Oh, okay. Good job, producer. Okay, I went off on a tangent.
So you had the best. You could not drive worth a lick, but you knew it.
Right.
The tests. You were smart, but not street smart.
Oh, still not street smart. More book smart than street smart. And that's okay.
So Lee is sitting in the back of the car clipping coupons. She says you're going to drive to Shola, which is about 45-minute drive from St. John's.
Well, probably more like an hour and 15 minutes with me driving. I'm a speedster. So my niece Emma texted me or called and she's like, are you on like Elliott? And I'm like, yeah. And she's like, yeah, you just blew past us and I was going 55. I'm like, yeah, I'm just sorry, Chandler Police Department. But sometimes I'm just in my, zone and I like to get places. I think that's my mom. I'm a little bit my mom, a lot more my dad, I think, in ways.
You got a little bit of both in you.
Yeah,
and that's a good thing. You've got a good mix. So you have some good blood running through your veins. You've got the Udall and the Cowleys.
Who do you think I look like? I have a divided
think you're more
camp.
of a Cowley.
Really?
I think your look is more of a Cowley look.
Okay. I just looked at a picture that we took at Colton's wedding, and I was like, oh my gosh, I look like my dad with long hair.
Yeah. Oh, that's interesting.
I kind of felt like I looked more Udall. I think like Trace and Tyson look more Cowley, and Rhett Dustin and I look more Udall. The joke is my dad said, we picked you up on the side of the road. You're adopted. That was the standard joke.
No, I could definitely see some Udall in you. So for my listeners, my fourth episode, Jamie.
Oh, yes. My cousin.
You are first cousins with Jamie.
Yes. Jamie is the oldest cousin on my mom's side. So Jamie's mom and my mom are sisters.
So my mom always tells me how smart the Cowleys are.
Yes.
She always tells me that. Those Cowleys are so smart.
Both of my grandparents were very smart, but my grandfather exceptionally so. Like, just brilliant.
What did he do for a living?
He owned Cowley Brothers with his brother Hugh and did well drilling out in New Mexico. He was born in New Mexico and was very much... I don't know what exactly happened, so sorry, Cowley cousins, but somehow he was set to go to college and his mom got sick or something happened that he couldn't go, so he had to like put his education on hold and start working, and then just continue to work. So he always made it a point for all of his grandchildren, like he wanted us to go to college and wanted us to further our education because I think he knew that he had missed an opportunity, but he didn't let it set him back. Very smart, like could take apart anything, put anything, like Rachel and I would take our roller skates over. He would weld them back together when they'd break. You could take anything to him and fix it.
That's amazing.
He's pretty smart.
So you were really encouraged in terms of education from both sides.
Oh, from both sides. Most people would say the Udall side, but it is both sides.
That is very interesting because I would just imagine.
Go, Mom, go. See? Woo, woo. I feel like everyone asks about the Udalls just because it's a
prominent. You come from a prominent family, absolutely.
But I'm half my mom, so I got to give a shout out to the Cowleys and the Lees.
Yes. Keep your shout outs, Mindy.
And I have 60 first cousins.
Mindy, after the podcast,
yes,
we'll do credits where you can just give all your shout outs.
Oh, okay.
But keep doing them during too. But if you think of any more,
shout out to the Hall family.
Okay, so.
If I would have married into Amy's family, my name would have been Mindy Udall. Because that would have been like cool.
And you know what? We used to always joke about that.
I know.
We used to always joke about that.
Elise gave me permission when she came to speak at my school that if she ever passed away, I could marry Jeff, the producer.
Oh, I would be okay with that. I mean, I would not be okay with Elise
Jeff
passing.
Did not confirm or deny if he was okay
Jeff's
with it.
Jeff's over there blushing. Jeff is bright red. I would not want Elise to pass, but if that did happen, obviously I'd be devastated. But I would welcome you in with my arms wide open.
And several of my female friends have said that, like if they pass, they would like me to marry their husband.
I'll bet. Hey, if my mom passes, you can marry my dad.
Remember when we were thinking I could marry your grandpa,
and
then I would be your step grandma?
So let's talk about that trip once. So
imaginations.
Okay, so Mindy again, family. And a few years back, we took a trip to St. John's, Arizona for Mindy, one of her best friends. I'll consider her a friend of mine too, Suzanne's wedding reception.
Oh.
I think it was one of the many trips we took there. Or maybe it was even after that. Maybe it was when we went and saw our baby. I don't know what
I
it
don't
was.
know, but we had really good Mexican food on the trip.
Yes. So we took a trip to St. John's. We did go eat at El Camino.
We also ate in Pine Top at a Mexican restaurant.
Yes.
By ourselves? Who did we meet on that trip?
I can't remember.
All I know is we ate a lot. Yes.
Yes, we did. So we pull up to my grandpa's house, and we don't tell him we're coming to town to stay with him.
Oh, yes. Mm-hmm.
And this is my grandpa that I have talked about. Oh, I've talked about on previous episodes. Cowboy from St. John's, kind of a ladies' man, but not in a creepy way.
No.
And a flirt.
Very much so. Very much so.
Just the greatest guy ever. Everybody that knows my Grandpa Hall just loves him. So we didn't tell him we're going to stay at his house. We just show up.
That's kind of how we do it in St. John's.
Exactly.
You just show up.
You just show up. You just walk in. Nobody locks their doors.
Nope.
So we walked in, and lo and behold, he didn't expect us. Who walks down the hall?
I was in the bathroom getting ready for bed, and we thought he wasn't home.
That's right.
We thought he wasn't home because he never came out when we went in, and we were just like, okay, whatever.
So we just made ourselves
And
home.
I was coming out of the bathroom into the hallway, and he came out of his room, and I was not expecting him, and I screamed, and, whoa! And Amy comes running out, and we're like, and she's like, I didn't think you were here. So anyway, he was very nice about it.
It was just funny because you guys both scared each other.
Well, imagine he's like, why are
squeals.
these ladies in our house?
Was he naked or was he dressed?
No, he had his G's on.
Okay. That was my brother Jeff, I think, that saw him naked. Or my brother Jeff and my husband Davey that saw him naked in the hall.
No, he was just full
Fully
disclosure.
clothed?
He was in his night clothes.
Okay. So during that trip, I don't know if it was that trip or maybe another one we took, it was so much fun. We were hanging out in my grandpa's office, and Mindy was so insistent that she finds a book that her grandma said my grandpa had borrowed probably 30 or 40 years prior.
No, at least 30. Because Grandma Udall never forgets.
So there's this book that my grandpa had borrowed.
And had not returned to Gwendolyn Vivian Pace
30
Udall.
years.
Yep.
And you should have seen Mindy going through that entire office.
I'm going to find this book. I'm going to find this book.
And there were a lot of bookshelves and a lot of books. Just like against that wall, there were a lot of bookshelves and books.
Yeah, and the desk was right here. I remember.
Yep.
Yeah.
But we never found the book.
But you did find some good bookends.
Yes, and I love that. And these are some of my... And my Uncle Rick was in there. So...
Yes.
So, it was so much. That was a fun evening, and that's one of my favorite last memories that I have with my Uncle Rick. So me and you and my grandpa and Uncle Rick, we're all just hanging out in there. And honestly, let's be honest, Mindy's providing us the entertainment.
Yes, Rick's just.
And I'm actually secretly hoping, hey, Rick and Mindy,
woo! I'm gonna get a haul one way or the other.
They were both single at the time.
That's true. I had two men, undivided attention.
Yeah, exactly. And Mindy was providing some great entertainment. But I did come across these awesome horseshoe bookends.
Yes, and you have those.
Yes, and I asked my grandpa, I said, I collect these. He says, you can have them. And then my Uncle Rick says, yes, you can, because I'm the one that gave them to you.
And guess what I got from your grandpa on that trip?
What?
A magnifying glass from his study. I still have it on my bookshelf.
No way. That I must have been so focused. On those awesome horseshoe.
No, what we were focused on was the leaking mason jar with your grandfather's replacement hip that smelled like freaking formaldehyde. I'm like, why do you still have
So I'm so glad you brought this up. So my listeners that will listen to my cousin Dave's episode before this, we talk about that hip. And one of his challenges is to find out who got the hip or where did the hip go.
I did not take the hip. I have the magnifying glass. Is that your cousin Beck?
Yes, Dave Beck.
Okay, got it. Hi, Dave Beck.
Let's shout out to Dave.
Shout out.
Okay, let's continue talking about the family.
Okay.
But not the Hall family. Let's talk about your Udall family.
My Udall family.
The Udall family.
Okay.
So most of my listeners, they're going to hear the last name Udall. That's going to ring a bell.
Okay.
A lot of prominent Udalls. Very smart family. Talk to me about the Udalls.
I would say yes. There's definite factions. We are not the political Udalls. We are the farming education Udalls. So a lot of people associate Udalls somehow with money. And my brothers always joke around. They're like, they don't know that we're from this branch. We're more the, community organizer kind of, the teachers, root of the earth kind of people. Mm-hmm. And think about St. John's and our Mormon pioneers coming there and saying, okay, we want you to, make a settlement here. And they're looking at this barren landscape and how are we going to grow crops? How are we going to do things? So
the Udalls were pretty much the founders of,
no, this
settlers?
is the scandal. Yes. Remember, well, not a scandal. Sorry.
Ooh, let's get to the juice. Dive in, Mindy.
Olivia Pope. Let's dive in. So yes, David King Udall, and many prominent families, because that's when like Snowflake and all of the other little communities were founded. So they came, the Barth family had already established. So the name of our town used to be San Juan. Then the Mormons rolled in, built the dam, built up their church, and then it became St. John's. So that's, and then those were Suzanne's relatives. So Suzanne's like, this, and we kind of always joked about it.
Why don't you explain the dynamics of St. John's and why it was San Juan?
That would be an entirely other podcast episode. We'd probably
It
need
only
to have
take
an
you a few
anthropologist.
Give us
Just
the
a few
high-level
seconds.
cliff.
Okay.
Why San Juan, and then why do the Mormons make it St. John's?
Because they couldn't speak Spanish? Do I get a guess of the answers?
Well, I mean, yeah, San Juan. I mean, when the Mormons got there, had
right,
the Catholics?
they organized it more, and I think that always kind of provided
Was there a lot of
this.
Hispanics there too at the time?
Oh yes, a lot.
Yes.
I just kind of feel like it put this dividing line between the community, and up until I believe almost like the 1960s, we had segregated schools. And then when my grandpa Udall became superintendent of Apache County, he said, "This is ridiculous. Let's get the school."
See, there's a prominent Udall guy.
Right, but that's my grandpa who was
awesome.
had the kids, his own kids, go over and help the custodian clean the,
Yeah.
because he's like, that man needs to get home to his family. You guys can go help.
What a good guy.
So my dad was a good guy, and the fact that, and I think that's why he passed that along. Like, you guys need to work. My dad doesn't think I'm a worker because look at these hands. He's like, you don't have any like calluses or like, your hands are too smooth. Like, you haven't been working. I'm a white collar worker. My dad wants me out with like a shovel. So sometimes before Jeff and Elise got to the school where they came and visited me, like sometimes when I go out for recess duty, I'd go out a few minutes early, get the broom. I'd be like sweeping sand back into like the sandbox or, picking up rocks and putting up things. I like things to look neat.
That's
So,
awesome.
yeah, I guess I would have to give a shout out to my dad and grandpa because they always said, you need to learn how to work. You don't just sit around and, expect things to happen. You need to work.
Yeah.
But my grandpa Callie was also the same way.
Yeah. Good. You come from great families.
I know. But I feel like I need to, represent the Cowleys because I feel,
Yes.
and I really, not that my mom was complaining about it, but I feel like they get more play.
Right.
On their YouTube channel. I don't even know if we have a YouTube channel.
Yeah. And do you think a lot of it is because there's so many Udalls?
Yeah, but my mom's family's bigger than my dad's family. She came from a family of 8 siblings.
Really?
6 girls and 2 boys.
And what number is your mom?
My mom is number 5. So she was kind of like the middle because, the older kids. So she kind of had this period where she was almost like the baby before Lee, Carolyn, and Trey were born. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So we talked a little bit. You taught for 14 years. You took a break, worked for your brother's
went back.
firm. You went back and you got this position.
Mm-hmm.
And how long did you sit in this position, or are you currently in this position?
I am not currently in the position. So now I'm almost 11 years in since I returned to education. Mm-hmm. So I was the teacher on special assignment. Then I applied and became the assistant principal. And then from there, I went to the district office. So I'm a district level administrator now. And it's crazy because, as your producer will know, people always complain like district office people don't know what's going on at the schools. So I make it a point to get out to the schools and like be part of that community because I don't want to just be like some little bobblehead that's, not knowing what's going on at the schools and what they need.
You're a perfect person for that position.
Oh, yeah. I love my position.
Perfect. Do you feel like this is your end all? This is where you retire? Or would you like to become a principal or end up back in a classroom?
Ooh, that's a good question. I've actually thought about that. Okay, so here's my selfish part coming in. Principals work 12 months a year. I have a 10-month contract, so I get my summers, and you know how I like to travel.
Yes, you do.
So being selfish, I would probably say if I had the choice, I'd probably go back into the classroom, although I'd take a huge pay cut.
Have you ever thought about going back into the classroom? Do you miss the classroom?
Yes, but I get to be in the classroom in a way because I cover people's classes and I am working with kids and like, okay, so they had some issues where some schools were missing an administrator for one reason or the other. So they said, Mindy, we need you to go over to this school and be the assistant principal. So my last rotation, I was the assistant principal for almost 2.5 months at a school. So like I was the assistant principal. And then now I'm back in my district role. So I kind of get the best of both worlds.
That is ideal.
Yeah.
It's perfect for you. Excuse me. Because you love people.
My eyes are watering with all this light in here.
You love people and you can just bounce around.
Exactly.
And you can just be the boss of the whole district.
Boss baby. That's kind of true. Not that I want to be the boss of everything, but I'm not afraid to share my opinion.
So I think the position you're currently in is perfect for you.
Yes, I'm the PBIS coordinator. No one knows what that is, so I just like to say it really fast. PBIS. Look it up. What is it?
Positive behavior intervention system.
Close enough. 75% correct. You met benchmark.
Yes.
Supports.
Well, can I talk about one of the first times you educated me?
Oh, sure.
Well, not just in our house in St. John.
Wait, were you in an outfit where you had a rose tattoo?
No, that was
okay.
another time. We should find those pictures. I should pull those up for my husband. Okay, so when I believe, was it when we were living in Chile or where was I living? And I used to send you letters or emails, and I remember
it probably would have been when you were going to school in Chile.
Yes, and I remember I would send you letters or emails, and you would grade them. Basically, you would correct them and correct my spelling words.
Okay. So that would have been when I was teaching, yes. So that would have been in the mid 90s. Was that when you lived in Chile?
Yes.
Then yes. That was
95 to 98.
Ding ding ding.
I would send her these letters, and Mindy would grade them.
It's
like,
true.
With a red pencil, and she would correct my letters and send them back to me. So Mindy has been
awesome. Is your writing better now?
Well, thankfully, there's a thing called email and a thing called spell check. I am not a great speller.
It's okay.
And there's no shame in it. You would never see me in the spelling
I feel
bee.
like you can either spell or you can't.
I can't.
But in my family, it's the boys that can't really spell. My mom and I share something in common. We were both our school spelling bee winners, and we both went on to district. I did not make it past district. I was runner-up, and I still remember the word I missed. But my mom actually advanced when she was in the spelling bee to state spelling bee.
Wonderful. What word did you miss?
Aggrandizement.
Can you spell that for us?
Aggrandizement. Aggrandizement.
So
I missed one E. Oh. And I had a little cabbage patch. This is me in 8th grade, guys. I mean, we lived in a bubble. I had a little tiny plastic, like miniature cap, not the actual doll, but they made little mini ones.
What you're talking about.
I was in the back studying my words, and the district spelling bee was at a reservation school, St. Michael's, like on probably the Navajo Indian reservation. So it was like a significant drive, and I was in the back practicing my words, and I don't even know who won. But I do remember who I beat in the school spelling bee. It was Jeanette Broadbent.
Oh.
Because I still have the clip from the White Mountain Independent, a picture of me and Jeanette. And I remember the little sweater vest I was wearing. I thought it looked pretty hot.
I bet you did. Minnie, you've always been very stylish.
Not really.
You have.
My mom actually helped with that because she made all my clothes growing up.
She made them.
Probably until like 4th grade. Like sewed dresses and little outfits for me. And then my cousin Rachel and I would have a lot of matching outfits like Olive and Lucy.
Fun. Yes.
But we didn't annoy each other with matching outfits. We thought it was
you
cool
were
too.
Cousins. It's
right.
different when you're cousins.
Right. And cousins born in the same year. And then so I grew up with 3 first cousins and graduated with them. So Rachel on my mom's side, and then Justin, Grant, and Cord Udall on my dad's.
How fun. And you were all in the same grade.
Yep. Class of 1989.
Wonderful. Who was your favorite teacher in St. John's? Or the most influential?
Wow. I honestly, I think with every teacher, you take away something. So let's see. So my kindergarten year, I went to school in Page on the Navajo Indian Reservation. My dad was at the power plant there. We lived on Sandstone Street in a double-wide avocado green trailer. Do you guys remember the Dunaways?
I do. David Dunaway, my age. Yes.
So they lived by us.
Okay.
Because he also worked at the power plant.
Did not know that.
Trace hoodwinked me. I was in kindergarten. We were walking to Page Elementary School, and there was a snow cone place that, like, a little snow cone stand. Mm-hmm. So on the way home, we were walking home. He's like, Mindy, we should get a snow cone. I was like, all on board. He's like, you can get half of the flavor, or like whatever. Totally on board, like thinking, oh my gosh, I'm going to get a snow cone. So we get up, and he's like, well, where's the money? And I'm like, I'm 5. Oh. Like, Trace, always wheeling and dealing.
To this day.
To this day. 50. Yeah. So, yes, I would
Shout
say.
Shout out to Trace.
Shout out to Trace. Let me see. Bill Waite. I had Bill Waite, who was amazing. I had Mr. Herring, who kind of set me straight. He gave me a C in spelling.
Oh.
And that kind of was like how.
Did that shake you up a little bit?
Yeah. Like, how would I get a C in spelling? And I like won the class spelling bee. So I think that motivated me to kind of work a little harder. And I have a lot of male teachers.
Do you think you deserve that C?
Absolutely not.
Wow.
Carl Herring, bless your soul, but yeah, I probably deserved a B. I like C's in math, yes, but a C in spelling.
I just can't imagine you getting a C in anything.
My math skills, that like math anxiety that they say girls get in like middle school, 7th, 8th. My mom said all along my standardized test scores were like above average. Mm-hmm. And she's like, and then you got into junior high and you just started doubting yourself in math. And then during high school and college, math always was a struggle for me. So I'd have to get like 150% in all of my other classes to keep my GPA up.
Now, did your parents, did they push you hard when it came to grades? I mean, would you get in trouble if you got anything under than an A or a B? Or was your parents' philosophy, you just got to try your hardest? And we know when you're working hard and we know when you're not.
Well, my mom was my teacher in junior high and high school. She was my home ec teacher in junior high, and then like my government and what else? Civics. And then she was like the student council sponsor. So my mom kind of had a better idea. Humanities. No, Risa was my humanities teacher and academic. Your mom was so Risa, that was our last year that we did academic decathlon, and then my mom took over.
Okay.
No, my dad really never went. So I have all my report cards, and how your parents had to sign on the back. Every one of my report cards is signed by my mom. So I don't know that my dad really even had a clue how I was doing. Yeah. But I was the kid who would come home and like do homework and invite people over for study sessions. Like, I don't feel like I'm naturally smart like Rhett and Trace. I feel are really smart. Tyson and Dustin are smart. Like, they're really crafty and like hands-on, but not like textbook kind of studying is not their thing. I feel like I'm kind of in between.
A little bit of both.
Yeah. Like, I have to study. Like, I'm just not like, I can't just walk in and go, yeah, I'm going to ace this. I work. I prepare. Just like that interview. I mean, I worked. I worked for hours on that. I really wanted that job.
And you got it.
I got it. Yes.
Like your grandpa taught you. You work hard.
Yeah.
Things will happen.
Yeah. I just think they really felt like you would fall into like, not just repair, but just get yourself into trouble if you weren't working and keeping yourself kind of busy.
Yes.
And I find like if I have idle time, I kind of start, doing kind of the negative self-talk, like, oh, I should be doing something. And like, it's hard just to take a break and just be okay with like, oh, I should call Amy. Like, maybe I should go babysit my great niece, like give someone else a break. Like, you're always thinking, what else can I be doing to help people? And then I'm like, I got to take care of me first.
You do.
That's the selfish coming out. But my therapist said, taking time for yourself is the most important thing to do.
Absolutely.
And saying no is not a sin.
And you know what? It's not a sin, and that's not being selfish. You have to put yourself first. You have to take care of yourself before you can take care of anybody else. Right.
But I think you've probably experienced that as like a mom, a wife. You always, you have to do. Yes. You do. And then you burn yourself out.
You do. And you were talking earlier about how you know when you need to just reset and you can just sit at home by yourself.
Yeah.
So for me, one of my favorite things is being alone. I have always loved to be alone. Now, that doesn't mean I don't love my husband and kids because I'd rather be with them than anything.
Yeah,
but
I understand.
But any Mother's Day or birthday or Christmas, I tell my husband, do you know all I want for Christmas or Mother's Day? I want 12 hours in bed alone to just watch a show or just relax.
Or go to the movies by yourself.
Myself. Or go to the movies by myself.
Isn't that so fun?
It's the best thing. It's so therapeutic. It's the ultimate escape. But I love to be by myself. But it is. I think it's just to kind of recharge. I just have to take care of myself. And then by the end of those 12 hours, I'm like, okay, I'm ready.
I'm ready to rejoin.
Exactly. But it makes me a better mom, a better wife, a better friend, sister, or what have you.
Yes. So, preach, Amy.
Preach. Okay. Another thing I love to do, and you do this all the time, and I'm envious half the time, is I love to travel by myself. So I used to travel for business quite frequently. I remember
that, and I was uber jealous of you.
Yeah. So I used to travel a lot for business.
To Canada and Philadelphia.
Yeah, and just San Francisco, a lot of places. And just there was just something about getting on that plane by myself, going for a meeting, having that night to myself, and I just love that. But something that I have never done, which I should give myself a challenge, is to take a trip that's not a business trip, but a vacation by myself.
Ooh, because that's your challenge.
That's my challenge. So I want to talk about your love of traveling and how you travel by yourself. Just before this podcast, you told me last Sunday you booked a trip and you leave this Sunday. Where are you going?
I am going to Mexico City for spring break, listeners. Woo, woo, finally.
And who are you going with?
Myself.
And where did you go?
Isn't that wonderful? Myself.
I think it's awesome.
Yeah.
You were just in Indianapolis?
Didn't you like my hashtag? Mindy and Indy?
Yes, Mindy and Indy.
Finally a city that rhymes with my name.
This is what I loved. My favorite thing about following that trip on Instagram, and I had been off social media. That was like right when I was getting back on.
You're really good about taking those like fast from social media.
I took a year fast.
That's amazing.
Yeah. So, but when I got back out, I was following your trip to Indy.
Mm-hmm. Wasn't that fun?
And you were so cute there posing. I mean, you took the best pictures. So I'm thinking, who is she with? One of her friends. The first thing that went through my mind is she's visiting somebody in Indianapolis.
No, I knew nobody. Nobody.
Okay. And you went for a good chunk of time. How long were you gone?
I usually do 5 days.
Did you have a selfie stick or did you just ask people to take pictures of you?
No, I asked people or I did my own. But I do not have a selfie stick.
Because you took...
Which one are you thinking? The one of the indie sign?
Yes. And then there's some really cute ones where you're posing. I'm just like...
I asked a mom, like a mom and daughter were doing. I'm like, can you take my picture? And they're like, sure.
Mindy, you're just amazing.
But you should go to that. I was really impressed with Indy.
I've heard a lot of great things about it.
And I hit it right before that freeze came in where everyone was like... I mean, it was cold, but it was also fun to be in a big city and walking around. Did you know the NCAA headquarters are there?
That I did not know.
And the museum was pretty good.
So museums always remind me of you, Mindy. No matter where I go, and I love a good museums. Museums remind me of you. Museums and cemeteries.
Yes, and fudge.
And fudge.
That's kind of my trifecta of trips. So good fudge, cemeteries, and museums.
So if you that's how you measure a good trip. That's how a trip's successful.
Okay, remember? Okay, who I think someone had passed away. Maybe it was Suzanne's grandfather. My good friend Suzanne Baca Hancock. Shout out to Suzanne. We had planned a road trip across the United States. We were both teachers, okay? So she had just bought a new car. Now, this is like years ago, guys, like 20 years ago, and it's a Kia. No one had heard of a Kia Sportage.
I remember.
So we had to roll into St. John's, do the funeral, and then we rolled out on our trip. Okay, this was, before cell phones, before like navigation in your car. We had a giant atlas. 2 suitcases in the back. We had tried to budget our trip. Now, again, here's my math failure. I'm like, we're going to spend so much on gas. I think I had budgeted like $1,000 between the two of us for gas. We drove all the way across the United States. We hit 25 states and Canada because we went across when we were in Niagara Falls. And we were gone for almost a month. And along that way, this was when we were both teachers, I bought postcards at all of the places we stopped, and I wrote to all of my students. And some of the kids still remember. They're like, I remember that postcard you sent me. And that was back when, I did things that like St. John's teachers would do, which now people are like, you are kind of crazy for doing that because like it's so, like.
But just think of that. But just think of the lesson that you gave them by just sending them a postcard.
Right, like travel.
Yes,
like
travel.
your teacher is a person.
Yeah, your teacher's a person,
Right.
and you cared for them.
And I'm like, I hope you're reading and keeping up with your spelling.
I'm sure you gave them an important message.
Right.
in there.
Make sure that you are doing your home. No, I'm just kidding. But yeah, I wrote all of the kids who gave me their address,
That's
which
really
was
neat.
most of them. And like, I was like, Suzanne and I were crazy. And then we made a
I'm
giant
pretty sure-
scrapbook of it.
I'm pretty sure I received a postcard on that trip.
I love writing
Yeah,
postcards.
I'm pretty sure I did. Okay, so what is your favorite museum you've ever been to?
Oh gosh. Okay. Well, the Louvre is amazing, but even better than the Louvre, the Orsay in Paris.
Yeah.
The Impressionists. The Van Gogh Museum in Amsterdam was breathtaking. The pyramids in Egypt, the Great Wall of China. Like, it just, like, you're just, it's
blown away.
amazing. Yeah. And in Indianapolis, their Museum of Art, fantastic.
Amazing, huh?
And the ladies like promote it for us because a lot of people don't know about it.
That's
And
really
I was very impressed. And so I always try to post things of like the art museums. I really am a lover of the arts.
You are, and I feel like you've been a big influence in me because I honestly, museums always remind me of you.
Right.
And I have been to on one trip with you. And that was
Hawaii.
to Hawaii for a week.
Oh
you and
my
Suzanne.
gosh.
And that was amazing. But we didn't visit a museum, but we did visit a cemetery. And I love cemeteries too. And I probably get that from
we
you.
went to Hawaii's like Volcano National Park.
Oh yeah,
But I guess
there
that
may have
wasn't
been, like,
technically a museum.
Yeah, I'm sure there were displays. I remember displays.
I
and
just
seeing
remember
that.
things coming out of the ground, little
Isn't that
steam.
amazing?
Oh, that was a good trip.
That was a good trip, and we should go back and
Remember
visit
we
Jamie.
bought that giant avocado that never ripened?
and we left it for your mom. So
We just bought this. I mean, the avocado was like as big as our head. It was very disappointing that it never ripened.
I know that was a great trip, but I do remember going to a really pretty museum, or not museum, excuse me,
Cemetery.
Why cemeteries? What draws you to cemeteries?
I love history and I love I kind of maybe should have been a cultural anthropologist, just how, people honor the dead. We talked about how much we love funerals.
Yes.
I'm a big funeral goer. I love reading the program,
Hearing the stories.
I think it just connects us.
And seeing the family members and
Right.
friends, just seeing the community gather together.
And I love when funerals are like a celebration, like truly a celebration of life, and they're remembering the good times. They're not bringing up all the pain and suffering. They're bringing up the funny little stories, and you go out just, a little lighter and going, okay, like I can do this.
Yeah.
And I also wanted to be a mortician.
I rember that, Mindy.
So
I
maybe
remember that vividly.
Maybe that's kind of why the cemeteries and things connect.
Yes.
But I'm more into, I wanted to do okay, so if anyone takes this idea or if it's already gone, who's a patent attorney?
Our other producer here.
Who?
His name's Scott.
Scott.
And your cousin Pacer.
And my cousin Pacer. And isn't Chris Day?
I don't know, but probably.
Okay. So I want to create like a talking headstone, like in cemeteries. That's
Like a hologram?
Not really necessarily a hologram, but something like motion activated. So like if you were buried there, you walk by and it's like, thank you for visiting my final, and like give your kind of little life story so people could know about you.
There's your challenge, Mindy.
I know.
I'm not
It'd be
kidding.
much easier just to do an app.
That's true, where they tune
You don't
in.
have to worry about maintenance of it.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
An app that would be like a family
And
picture.
I did read
I like that idea.
that remember in like Victorian times when sometimes they would bury people that were still alive that were in kind of this like
Yes.
whatever, so they'd put the little string with the bell in case they woke up, and so if you heard the bell ringing in the cemetery, it meant, hey, I'm alive down here, come get me out. So there that was what prompted this guy to make these like caskets that were just ridiculous, but that had cell phones in them and stuff in case someone was really buried alive.
Oh,
Like, hey, could you imagine?
oh no, I
Hello,
couldn't.
I'm calling from my casket.
That reminds me of a scene in one of my favorite movies of all time,
Mm-hmm.
Double Jeopardy.
With Ashley Judd.
Ashley Judd and Tommy Lee Jones.
Mm-hmm.
Honestly, one of my top 3 favorite movies, and I've been saying this since I first saw it in 1998 or 99.
What about beaches?
Well, of course.
Okay.
That's got to be there. But anyway, that reminds me of that scene. Did you ever visit Buenos Aires? Mm-hmm. Did you go to the cemetery Recoleta?
Recoleta, yes.
Yes.
Ashley's sister Adrienne got
Oh,
married
that's
down
right.
there.
I was going to say, I knew you went there.
Went for a wedding.
Yeah.
Those people know how to throw a wedding.
Oh, yes, I'm sure.
Holy Hannah. And the empanadas and the alfajores. And I don't even speak Spanish, you guys. And I've been to so many Spanish-speaking countries. Wish me luck in Mexico City.
So how many countries have you visited?
I think probably last time I counted 26.
Wow, that's impressive.
I know, but I just want to do more. Your brother Ashley, like I just feel like I'm really behind.
Yes. Anybody
Man.
comparing themselves to Ashley in terms of travel
It's
and
just
country is
amazing.
Ashley talked a lot about his database. I could see you doing that. You may already keep quite a record of your life.
No, I database the books I read.
Yes.
That's what I keep track of.
You should
And I
start
keep not
more.
one, but 2 checkbook registers. And I write in them weekly and balance my checkbook.
Why do you keep 2?
Because I have 2 different. I
So
have
for
accounts
each
at
count?
different banks.
Okay.
But like literally,
But it's not 2 for one account.
No, but I get receipts and I go through them and I open up my register and write stuff down and then I like check when it's cleared and everyone's like, why don't you just use the app? I think I'm like
Just old school. You just like the feel of it. But Mindy, this
Yes.
is so you. Just like
Notes
those
and
people
doodling,
watching on this
right.
YouTube. This is just so Mindy, just.
yeah, people watching on travel is amazing. But I like knew the whole hotel staff. I knew
I'm
the
sure.
concierge. They'd be like, "What did you do today?"
And that is why
Right.
I came in with the whole
That's a
the
good
question
question.
of have you ever met a stranger?
No.
So I was talking to my husband before we came
Hi,
here,
Davey.
and he asked me what I was going to ask you, and I said, "Have you ever met a stranger?" And he immediately replied and said, "A stranger is a friend you haven't met yet." The Simpsons.
Davey, that's gonna be my one-liner.
The Simpsons.
The Simpsons.
And he said, "I just watched that episode with the girls the other day." But that is so you, Mindy.
I do enjoy. I'm a people person.
Well, you are. And I've met a lot of your friends, and I'm sure I've only met maybe a tiny fraction of all your friends. But you have such a diverse group of friends.
That's what your dad said. I was like, that's a really nice compliment.
It
like,
is.
It took me a while to kind of process it because in the midst of things, I think when it was like either my graduation party or like my 30th birthday party, and he was standing there, in your true dad fashion and saying,
Like Jeff right there.
Where else would you come and see this like cross section of people from like 70 down to little kids?
Right.
That, and I like people of all ages.
You do. And you've kind of brought that into our Bunko group because we are
Yes.
members of a Bunko group. In our Bunko group, you will find kids from like the age of 10
Right. Up to 70s.
up to 70s. Right?
Yeah.
Playing Bunko in our group. And it's just such a random group of people, but we have so much fun.
It is
And
hilarious.
it just gels. We just have so much fun.
Mother-daughter bunko.
Yes.
And now it's even mother-daughter friend bunko, mother-aunt-niece
Yes.
bunko.
Yes, it's just evolved.
Right. I definitely think it's evolved. You need to come back to book club.
I do need to come back to book club. I've missed it.
Because
It's
I
been
know you
years.
love to read.
I do. I really love to read.
Biographies.
You are good.
I listen to your podcast. I retain a lot of information.
You do. You're very smart.
People don't think I'm listening because I'm a little bit like your producer. Like there's a lot going on up here where,
Yeah.
and I sit in a lot of meetings and so I have to like doodle and people think I'm like not paying attention, but I almost have to do something else
Yeah.
to be able to focus to listen. And then, they'll call you on it and be like,
Yeah.
you weren't paying attention. And I'm like, no, you told this, and this. And
Yeah.
I'm like, oh, okay, I guess you were paying attention. But then I have a beautiful, I've written out a budget for myself or like a list of countries I want to visit next or, whatever.
You're multitasking.
I'm multitasking.
But you're
exactly.
focusing.
Remember all the, I would write down names that I wanted to name my kids?
Yes.
Some of those names.
Can you share a couple of those?
Okay, do not judge,
RK, what were you going to name a little girl?
I was
RK?
going to name a little girl Remington Kate Udall and call her
I love
RK
that.
after my dad. But before that, in my naive stage, I had a name picked out, Tamandra Danielle. Holy hell.
And this was serious.
Back in junior high age.
That is so funny.
And my name, okay, so Rachel Corrine, Jamie's mom, had names picked out for Rachel and I when Carolyn and Sylvia were pregnant, my mom and her sister. And she wanted us to be named Patsy and Nancy. So Rachel and I are always like, well, do you want to be Patsy or Nancy? I'm like, neither.
I can
No
see you as
offense,
the
Patsy
Patsy.
or Nancy. Yeah, like Patsy Cline.
Nancy's cute.
Nancy Drew.
I actually have a really good friend, Nancy. She's one of the listeners, one of the loyal listeners.
Nancy. Loyal
you
listener.
would actually get along really well with her. I may need to invite her to our Bunko Club.
Please do.
Nancy B, I'm talking to you.
You need to make a little hashtag or like a shout out, hashtag loyal listener.
Oh, I should.
Like send a mug, you draw a loyal listener.
Mindy, if you could sit in here and dive in with anyone, who would you want to interview and really dive into?
Frida Kahlo.
Hence your trip to...
Hence my trip to Mexico City. I love her artwork. I love her as a person. She was just her own person. Didn't like apologize for her beliefs, her likes, her dislikes. I mean, she was just her. And Jeff's wife loves her. Jeff's kids love her. Mm-hmm. I took my little Frida bag yesterday to my exercise class, and like a lady was like, "Oh my gosh, I feel like that even sparks discussion."
Yeah, that's interesting.
Did you do the Frida exhibit when it was here at the Herd?
I did not, and I'm ashamed of myself for not doing that.
It was amazing.
So I've
heard that Phoenix got one of the only it was only 4 stops.
Yeah.
Worldwide, Phoenix got one.
Now I feel even more stupid for
I know,
not going.
but we're not. I mean, we have a lot of history and culture, but not.
I mean, that's big.
I know. I just feel like we need more culture here.
Mm-hmm. Do you visit the museums often here in Arizona?
No, that's why I travel.
Have you ever been to the Gilbert Heritage Museum?
No.
You know, that's a challenge I'm going to give you. I've never been either. Let's go together.
Let's go. Do we need to take your kids?
Yeah, we should take our kids.
Yeah, and then we can give Cece spelling words.
Absolutely.
And we can take Jeff's kids.
But there is a little museum in Gilbert, our little town where I live, just less
by
than a mile.
By the water tower?
Yes, just downtown Gilbert.
Wow.
And I have lived here for 14, 15 years, and I have never visited the Little Gilbert Museum. Do you accept the challenge?
I accept the challenge.
Okay.
Wait, so I have a lot of challenges. Let's go back. Visit the Gilbert Heritage Museum.
Yes. Your app for the cemeteries.
Oh, app for the talking headstone.
Yes.
Jeff, do you remember the other challenge? Because I wasn't doodling and writing stuff down.
Well, I'll go back and listen, and I'll
we talk about like a bossy challenge?
Yeah, bossy.
But what are we doing with it?
No, I don't want you to change. I'm not giving you any challenge in regards to bossy because.
So 2 things.
Mindy, I like you the way you are.
Ooh.
Seriously, don't change.
I love you just the way you are.
Okay, where did your love of cheerleading come from?
I was a cheerleader for the Jets. Green and white.
I remember.
Football team.
We will be posting a picture on our website page. I can picture this picture in my mind.
I have the picture.
I know that. I'm saying I'm going to have you share a copy.
Oh, okay.
We are going to post the picture.
And you'll see that I had like very red hair, and it was in a little Dorothy Hamill do. And Chandra Shreve was on my cheer team. Pam Mangum. Can't remember the other ones. We had the most janky pose. It was a pyramid, and we're all like kind of off center. But so I cheered for my brothers. And then I was a cheerleader in like kind of like the junior high. And I always loved cheering with the cheerleaders in high school. And I don't know, I just like it.
And that's just you. You have the personality.
Right.
Well, I bring this up because one of my favorite things about you, again, is we had a family reunion in Sprucedale.
That was
awesome
so much
dude
fun.
Ranch in northern Arizona a couple of years ago.
Yes,
and
2 years
Mindy
ago.
came. I mean, she's essentially part of the Hall family. And she had all of the little Hall girls.
All the
my
little girls.
daughters, all their little cousins. And they basically had a cheer camp at Sprucedale. Yes. And they took that so seriously.
I know.
And I will post a picture on the website. But Mindy is coaching all these little Hall cousins. Practice. And they did great at the talent show. And my daughters still talk about that.
I know. She's like, do you remember when you taught us the cheer?
Yes.
I love that.
So tonight when I was on my way over here, my girls asked me where I was going. And I said, I'm going to podcast Mindy. And Cece's like, wait, I know 3 Mindys. Which Mindy are you podcasting? And I told her, your cheer coach. And she's like, oh, I love her.
She was so cute at Bunko with her little purse and her little car. She was like a mini you in a little cardigan.
She's a little mini me, and it's a little bit of you in her, too.
I know. Cece should go into cheerleading.
I'm afraid she might, which is fine. It's not a bad thing.
Don't say afraid.
I shouldn't say afraid. See, my teacher correcting me. Thank you.
Let your kids be who they are.
Absolutely. You know, I said that because I remember early on when we were married, Davey it was my sister Julie. Davey and I were all talking about cheerleading. And Davey's like, my girls will never cheerlead or like be cheerleaders. And Julie says, if they do, you'll support him, you'll love him. And he is so stubborn, more stubborn than me. He's like, nope, I won't. And ask Julie, he was getting so heated and agitated. Yes. He's like, nope, I won't support him. They could, let's fast forward. And now we have a little 7-year-old who will most likely be a cheerleader. That's
was
just
he
her.
like that at Sprucedale?
After he had a kid and realized like, hey, this is her, and that is just who she's meant to be.
Right.
You better believe he'll be there front and center, and he'll be the dad taking all the video and the camera,
pictures.
And he will be so proud.
Yes. And is little Letty going to be a cheerleader?
I don't think so. I think she'll probably be more of an athlete.
Okay.
I do. I think she and Cece are completely different.
What did she tattoo on herself when she was showing, and then she got really shy?
I don't
You're
know.
like, that's really good.
Yeah.
You're like, it's really big. I know. As teachers, you have to kind of like try to always find the positive spin, like to figure out, okay, so.
I know.
Yeah. But, kids draw on themselves.
Well, yes, I know. But
now, if you were drawing on yourself and you misspelled something, I would be very disappointed in you.
I every time, and I haven't for a while, but anytime I write a note to Mindy, I like triple check it.
Yeah, I'm like, Amy,
to make sure.
Resend this. You had 5 spelling errors and a dangling.
But I'm not joking when I say Mindy would literally correct my letters with a red pen or marker and send them back to me.
I also got called out by one of my former students. And I mean, he tells everyone this story everywhere we go. Like, I was like, okay, I am the only teacher who ever gave him a B, ever. And he's in law school now.
Wow.
He's like, she's the only teacher who gave me a B. And he brought he still has the report card. And I did give him a B.
In what?
Social studies.
And he deserved it, clearly?
Yeah, he didn't earn an A. Just like I probably didn't earn, I really think I earned a B, but I can't go back and fact check because Mr. Herring has passed away. No longer. Ironically, when I went to interview the mortuary mortician, Mr. Jukes, Reuben Jukes.
Why did you interview him?
That's how my fascination with morticians started.
So it was like an assignment for school?
No, I just went and said, I want to interview you. I want to see what you do.
Just randomly.
Right, and he like kind of showed me around the mortuary because Rhett cut his lawn for him. So I just went down.
How old are you at this point?
I was probably like 13.
Mindy, I love it.
Maybe almost in high school. So I went down. No, I was probably right in high school. I was like, this is really cool. Because remember, I was like really into science, but hated math. Go figure. And he was sitting at the desk and he's like, okay, like I had to do that, like telling me. And on his desk was Mr. Herring's certificate of death.
Really?
Because he had just passed away.
Wow.
So, yeah. And you can look up death certificates.
This is just a few years after he's given you the C.
Right, because he was my 6th grade teacher, so only like probably 3-4 years after. Yeah.
Standing in that mortuary, did you still feel a little bitterness, or did you?
No, my heart softened. But I just realized even though you're dealing with the dead, really your bulk of the work is dealing with the living and helping them cope with this and make like kind of some major decisions. Yeah, and you got to admit the car's sweet.
The car, yes, it is.
I mean, I saw one rolling down the 60. I'm like, yeah. I like the Cadillac hearses. Can you imagine if I had one of those?
You can. You don't have to be a mortician.
Oh, so that was another one of my ideas besides the talking headstone is Mindy's mobile mortuary, free pickup and delivery. Wouldn't that be fantastic?
Do you ever consider making a second career?
I looked into it, but MCC only offered Monday through Friday classes. They didn't have any evening courses because they do offer a mortuary sciences AA degree. But I'm going to retire in 4 years.
4 years
After
already.
This school year, I have 4 more years till I can retire from the state. And then I'm probably going to get a job with an airline so I can do some traveling.
That's perfect for you.
And not like a full-blown job, but enough hours where they'll kick in the flight benefits.
You need to, I have the job for you.
Okay, what's my job?
You need to go into training for these airlines.
I could, or I could be like the educational consultant.
Absolutely.
Or like for people that write in for like, I could do, yeah.
You could do that for like donations and all that.
Or I could be the gate agent.
But I feel like you would be really good there.
I could be the gate agent.
You would be really good there. You need...
Because I'd be like, Amy! Yeah. I know everyone. Hi. They're like, Mindy, get back to work.
But you need a job where you're able to be in front of people, basically entertain people. And
right, but I could also be customer service.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so sorry you missed your flight.
Yeah.
let's go get a Diet Coke. Your next flight's only in 6 hours.
Yes.
Oh my goodness. Yeah. So that is kind of my soft plan of my, next 5 years.
Yeah. That's
but
good.
if something
and then you can
else
continue
comes
to travel
along,
the world.
right. I mean, who's to say? But I've heard that airlines do like to hire educators, retired teachers.
Mm-hmm. That's perfect. You'd be a perfect fit.
I mean, I like flying, but I don't think I could be standing up and checking people's seatbelts and telling them to put up their, tray table.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, that's like kind of teaching, Jeff, huh?
You are, and you're teaching him teaching him the etiquette.
Oh my gosh, it's late, you guys.
But Mindy, you're an educator. You're an educator at heart. It's in your blood, and that's never going to go away.
I could be bossy as a flight attendant because my number one priority is your safety.
Exactly.
I'm not here to pass out Diet 7-Up and cheese nips. Safety first.
Oh, Mindy, you're amazing. I'll tell you. I feel like we need to have a follow-up episode with you. There's so much we can talk about. And I would love to have you back on so we can dive into St. John's a little further, your upbringing. Before we end, can you just talk to me quickly about your job in St. John's at the drugstore?
Oh my gosh, best job ever.
I love listening to you talk about this job.
Such good memories. Okay, so Al Anderson, owner of the St. John's drugstore, hired 3 seniors every year to work at the drugstore. So, there's not that many jobs in St. John's. Most people either worked on a farm, worked in the summer, baling hay, whatever, or didn't work at all. Okay, let's be honest. So I applied and I got one of the jobs, and then Shayla, his daughter, got the second one, and our friend Cassie Kane got the third one. And we worked with like my Aunt Helen and Catherine Jolly and Susie Craigbaum and Darcy Ryan. We had the greatest time. And when Al passed away, we obviously were all at his funeral. And his wife, Shirley, said, girls, Al let you guys get away with so much. Like, that he would, no one else got that. Because Shayla was his daughter.
Right. And you're you.
Right. He'd let us come back in the pharmacy and help him, like, count pills. He'd sit and watch, but we would get to use that little, like, we were like, oh my gosh, like, we felt so special. And then if we worked Halloween or Valentine's Day at the end of the shift, because we always worked night shifts, like until 7 when it closed, he'd come and give you, like, a Russell Stover, like, strawberry heart. And say, thanks, ladies.
Oh, that's sweet.
And then when Cassie was leaving, he let us shut down, like lock the drugstore. We locked all the customers in. And Shayla and I were in my prom dresses from junior year. And we had a little boom box. And we did the song Walk the Dinosaur. And we had little stuffed animals. And we were dancing down the aisles and like sang the whole song to Cassie. He let us get away with so much. It was so fun. And he paid us above minimum wage.
Oh, that's good. Very progressive.
Yes. And I saved most of my money, but he let us have a charge account when you worked there.
I was going to talk to you about that because, Mindy, I could just see you that
was my favorite part.
Writing out all the things. So my dad had a charge account.
Yes, he did.
And we used to go down to the drugstore.
Get a candy bar.
A lot of stuff on that. I remember getting this rose lotion. I always loved this rose lotion.
I like rose lotion.
So I'd get rose lotion and some candy, and I still remember the charge. Like, you had to write every item.
Mm-hmm. And then we'd have you sign it, and then you'd rip out and give you a copy and put one. Mm-hmm. I love the old-fashionedness. I love that we It goes
back to you with your check registers.
Like, scanning is for the birds. Like, I like you could make a mistake, but you had a conversation. Remember, you could bring your clothes in for dry cleaning. We'd blow up a balloon for you. We'd wrap a gift for you. I'd pop off the back of your watch and replace your Timex battery. We had it all going on,
It was the one-stop shop.
Well, it was the only shop. But we love the drugstore.
Absolutely.
And the Coke machine in the back.
Yes.
Mazel tov.
So are you so grateful you grew up in St. John's, Arizona? Mm-hmm.
A lot of people bag on St. John's, producer. Just kidding.
No, he loves it.
No, honestly, like, I don't think I would have turned out the way I did if we didn't grow up in St. John's. Honestly.
Absolutely.
Think about it.
Mm-hmm. No, I think it's such a charming place and just a special place.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, where else are you 10 years old except Mindy? but you're 10 years old driving your parents' car down Main Street.
True.
Like,
or getting invited back for your high school reunion to come, and walk out on the football field for homecoming.
Yeah, it's just
and
special.
having floats and like the whole town comes out for the parades.
Yeah, what I love about St. John's too is, and I only lived there until I was 14, but I still consider that my hometown. It will always be my hometown.
Right.
And no matter where you are, I feel like you always find a connection to St. John's. But when you see somebody from St. John's, it's like a family reunion, honestly.
Right, because they ask about people.
Yeah,
and
you
you're
just
like,
know everything about, not everything, but you know a lot about everybody there, right?
Yeah.
But it's like when you see St. John's people, it's like a big reunion, and there's just something special and sweet about those reunions. So I love it.
That should be my app development. You're from St. John's.
Yes.
Just kidding,
true.
Jeff.
So anyway, but I am so grateful that I grew up in St. John's, and I'm grateful that you are like a big sister to me, and I've known you since
I love.
I was born.
I tell everyone, yep, I'm like the fourth sister.
You are. You're the fourth hall girl. It's
Actually,
like
I would be the second child by age. No,
So-
would I be the third?
So I think, are you younger than Ashley?
No,
Ashley's the
Ashley's
second.
older. I'd be the third
So
child.
you'd be the third. Okay.
Hey, perfect lineup because I'm the third child in my real family.
Yeah, there you go. But you honestly are truly part of the family. We always said Ethan was like our fifth brother,
Yep.
and Mindy's our fourth sister.
So why has no one named their child after me?
If I ever have another one, consider it done.
Hey,
All right, Mindy
I
Lou?
do feel a little offended, by the way, that you haven't mentioned that you and I share a birthday.
Oh my gosh! Why haven't you brought that up?
How have we not mentioned this?
Okay, so wait, can I still record?
And let's talk about birthdays, because birthdays to you are very important.
Yes, because I have no one to celebrate with, so I have to have a big
You
party.
have the world to celebrate with, girlfriend.
Are we still recording?
Yes, we are.
Okay, so one fun fact is the producer and I share the same birthday. We are the original 602s. I was so upset when Arizona got another area code and I had to go to a 480. Because my area code and my birthday matched.
I never thought about that.
So the high school Spanish club sold birthday calendars to raise money, and everyone had one in their house. The drugstore had one. El Camino had one up, and you could go and see everyone's birthday in town.
I remember
So here's
that.
the lineup of June 2nd birthdays, Geminis. Jeff Hall, Jeannie Farr, Jonathan Gray, Joe Litchfield, and Mindy Udall. What do you notice? Which one is not like the other?
You.
J, M. Do you know what my name was supposed to be?
Because you're just one of a kind.
No,
Mindy.
do you know what my name was supposed to be?
What, Jennifer?
Mindy Jo Udall. That was going to be my middle name.
Oh, really? What is your middle name?
No, middle name. I don't
Well,
have
I've
one.
given you one, Lou. We always say.
And I wanted to have Montana, remember?
Yes, I do remember that.
No, my mom was going to name me after her good friend Joe Wilbur, Jolynn Wilbur. If I was born in May, which Jolynn's birthday is in May, but remember I was a month overdue,
Yep,
so I wasn't born until June. So my mom's like, bag that crap. I'm not giving you a middle name.
She was mad at you for sticking in there a little too long.
And yeah, then pretty much like a month after I was born, we left for Panama.
Wow. How long did you live in Panama?
I think like just a year, like a school year. My parents went to teach there, and they had applied before they had children. They just kept their application active, and then they called and said, hey, we have this opening in Panama, but we need an answer right now. And my mom hadn't even had me. And my dad was like, what do you think, Sil? And she's like, let's do it. So they took 3 kids under the age of 5 to Panama.
Your parents are great.
Crazy, I tell you.
I think it's wonderful.
All right, listeners,
All right,
thanks.
Mindy Lou. Any
Gotta
parting
go to bed.
words?
To thine own self be true.
Love it. Mindy, thank you for diving in.
Thanks for having me dive in.
It's been fun.
Remember, I fell off the high dive and broke both my arms.
Okay.
I have a problem with diving.
You can't leave it at that. Literally.
Okay. No, my mom will tell you the story. She gets a call from the St. John's pool going, we've called the ambulance. Your daughter's down here. So this is why the high dive now has sidebars, because it didn't have sidebars. I'm climbing up and I get to the top and realize I'm falling. And there's the whole freaking pool in front of me, Jeff and Amy. Where do I fall? On the cement. And so I'm trying to break my fall. So then I have like I'm in arm slings, and then I got like a 3rd-degree sunburn because I'm fair skinned, so I couldn't wear a shirt because my back was all blistered. It was a terrible summer. I don't want to go back.
Was this diving in?
This was not diving in with Mindy and Amy. I dove, but I hit some. It's terrible. I have the worst luck, you guys.
Oh, Mindy.
We'll have to get Sylvia on.
That is so funny. All right. Jeff, we are done.
Jeff, it's true. That is a true story.